Cool. So welcome everyone. So yeah, as I'm sure you all kind of know, this is going to be a full somatics class in the style of Thomas Hanna. So this is a kind of separate movement principle in itself. So it's not yoga, it's Thomas Hanna Somatics. So I just wanted to go through a few kind of really key principles just for the class and just let them sink in. You don't have to remember them all, I'll cue them as well, but it's just so you kind of have an idea of how the movements are kind of meant to kind of flow or be. So the first principle is it's all about going slow and taking notice. So with all the movements, you want to be taking them really slow and noticing what's happening in the body. It's not about getting to a certain place or a certain shape or looking a certain way. It's about really feeling into sensations in the body. So just being aware of that. Small movements can be really affected, so we don't want to over effort. We don't want to go anywhere which is kind of causing any discomfort, any pain. We're just noticing basically muscles tightening and then releasing. So that's our pandiculation that we call in somatic, in Hanna Somatics. So you can make the movement really, really small as long as the brain can feel that there's a tightening of the muscle and the release. That's all you need. So it can literally be an inch movement, a 10% movement. It doesn't have to be big. So just keeping that in mind as you move. And on that note, everyone is different. So I'm going to be doing some of the movements. I might stop for some because of kind of the talking aspect, especially when we're lying on our bellies. So you can have a look at me to see how I'm doing the movement, but I'd say don't try and copy me because I might be moving in a completely different way or kind of in a, I might be going further or less in a movement than you might be kind of moving or feeling into. So I'd say really try and listen more to the cues and really feel how it feels in your body as opposed to kind of copying or trying to match what I'm doing because yeah, it will be different for everyone. Awesome. And yeah, I guess this isn't, as I mentioned, this isn't yoga. So there might be a few movements like the first one we do, arch and flatten, which is similar to pelvic rolls in yoga, but just bearing in mind that it's not yoga, it is actually a completely different movement style or movement principle. So yeah, just seeing if you can kind of listen to the cues and let any kind of preconceptions or any other movements you kind of learn just like leave or just be at the side for now, and just seeing if you can move in this kind of new way potentially for some of you if you haven't done this style of movement before. Awesome. So we're going to start down on our backs, and as well just let all that kind of drift away now. It's quite a lot of information, and I'll make sure I cue as well. So we're going to start down on our back bodies, and to start you can either have the legs out long if that's comfortable for your lower back, or if this isn't a very comfortable place for your lower back here, you can have the feet up on the earth, so more in that constructive rest shape, and the knees up to the sky. So just finding that shape that's most comfortable for you. If you can have the legs out long, then letting the legs be long. Arms just out by the side of the body. Palms can be up or down depending on what feels most comfortable for your shoulders. And so in our somatic movement, we start with our body scan. So beginning from the heels of the feet or the soles of the feet if they're on the floor. And just noticing what parts of the body are resting down on the earth and which parts are suspended upwards. So tracking from the heels through the ankles up to the calf muscles. And if your legs are out long, just noticing one side of, or one calf, one leg, and then the other side, and maybe one leg or one calf muscle has a slightly different weighting down on the earth. Maybe one has more kind of weight down or more of the leg resting down on the earth than the other, just noticing that. Moving up behind the knees to the thighs. Again, noticing how much of the thighs are resting down on the earth. And up to the pelvis and the buttocks. Again, notice, you can even place your hands on the pelvis here and just notice, is one side kind of resting down lower or higher or feels more weighty down on the earth. And we're asymmetrical beings, so very normal for us to have kind of one side of the body feeling slightly different to the other side, just letting the brain notice that difference. Or it might feel quite similar as well, and noticing that. Moving up to the lower back here and noticing that space between the lower back and the earth, and it might be quite big, it might be quite small. And then up to the mid back and up between the shoulder blades and the shoulder blades here. And again, noticing how the shoulder blades feel. Maybe one shoulder blade feels lower down or flatter towards the earth. Maybe the other feels different. Maybe they feel quite similar. And down through the arms, the hands. And if your arms and hands are kind of down on the earth beside you, you can have a little roll of the hands down so the palms meet the earth and then rolling back up. Or maybe it's the other way if your hands are down, and just noticing how it feels, that movement, how it feels in the shoulders. And then finding that place where it feels most comfortable for your shoulders. So maybe it's the hands facing down, maybe it's the palms facing up. Whichever way is absolutely fine, as long as it's most comfortable for your shoulders. And then moving up to the neck and the head. And so imagining if you were lying down on soft sand here or clay, if you were to stand up and have a look down at the imprint, where would your body kind of be resting down on the earth, and where would those gaps, those suspension upwards be? And so coming back to the head here, we'll just take a gentle roll of the head from one side to the other. So keeping the back of the head on the floor, letting the head roll to one side and then come through center. Notice when you're in center and then roll to the other side. And let this movement be really slow. Really notice what's going on in the neck, maybe the top of the shoulders, as you roll the head side to side here. Noticing when you're coming through center and then rolling to the other side. Just take that a couple of times on each side. And then come back to center. Notice, see if you can bring your head into that center place, resting on top of the spine. Cool. And then if your legs are out long here, just sliding one leg up, seeing if you can keep the foot on the earth. The knee can come out to the side as you slide up the foot to rest on the earth. And then when that foot's down on the earth, sliding up the other foot to come and meet it. Seeing if you can keep that foot sliding along the floor. And so having both feet up on the floor, this is our constructive rest shape. Bringing the feet together to touch and the knees to touch. And then having a little step out of the toes and then a step out of the heels, bringing the knees slightly apart. So the legs are in that kind of hip width distance apart now. Just noticing how that feels for the body. So this gives kind of support for the pelvis here. Feeling into that support of the bones of the legs, resting down into the pelvis. And so we're going to begin with our arch and flatters. If you've been coming to some of my classes the last week or so, you might have done this movement a few times in the class. And so let's just have a little think about the movement before we take the movement. So with our arch and flatten, pelvis, buttocks stay down on the earth. We're not coming into a bridge. And we'll start with the arch shape. So just having a think on the inhale, you're going to arch the back up away from the earth. Those back muscles are going to tighten slightly. Chin is going to nod down to the chest, tailbone rolls down to the earth. And then as you exhale, you come back to that rest. So we'll take that 3 times. So inhaling, arching the back up away from the earth, tailbone rolling down towards the earth. Chin can nod towards the chest. Notice those back muscles tightening here. And then as you exhale, just come back to rest. Take that 2 more times when you're ready. Inhaling, arching the back up away from the earth. Chin nods the chest, tailbone rolls down. Notice those back muscles tightening here. And then as the exhale comes through, coming back down to rest. And take that one more time. And if you're going a bit faster or slower than me, just taking the movement in your own time with your own breath, but only taking it 3 times here. Inhaling, arching up, and then exhaling, coming back down to rest. And let's take that one more time. So as you inhale, on your next inhale, allow that to bring you up into your arch, and then hold here for a couple of breaths and see if you can just feel those back muscles as they tighten here. Take a couple of breaths, chin nodding down to the chest, tailbone rolling down to the mat. Breathing into that soft belly. And then on the next exhale, calming back down, resting down to that resting shape. Just take a couple of resting breaths here. And then we're going to take our flatten movement now and then combine them together. So we're going to take this again 3 times and then on the 4th we'll hold. So let's have a little think about the movement first. So on the exhale this time, we're going to flatten the back of the body down towards the mat. So those back muscles are going to release and the front muscles, so the belly is going to tighten. Those ribs are going to pull down towards the pelvis. Tailbone rolls up and the chin will nod away slightly from the chest. Let's take that movement now. So as you exhale, flattening down the body, back of the body comes down, chin nods away, tailbone rolls up. Notice those belly muscles. See if you can tighten those belly muscles. And then on the inhale, inhaling into the belly, releasing that belly, and coming back to rest. Take that 2 more times, exhaling, flattening the body down, tailbone rolls up, chin can nod away from the chest slightly. Feel those belly muscles tighten. And then inhaling into the belly, releasing the muscles of the belly. Coming back to rest. Take that one more time. Exhale, coming into that flattened movement. You can even help the hands kind of pull the ribs towards the pelvis here. It might help tighten the belly muscles. And then inhaling into the belly, coming back to rest. And let's take that one more time. So exhaling, coming through flatten when you're ready. And just hold here and notice, really notice those front muscles, those belly muscles tightening. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then on your next inhale, inhaling into the belly, releasing that tension from the front of the body, coming back to rest. Let's take a couple of resting breaths here before we bring those 2 movements together. Cool, so let's start taking those 2 movements together. So we'll just do this 3 times. So on your next inhale, inhaling, coming up into that arch, back of the body tightens, tailbone rolls down, chin nods to chest. And then exhale, come through center. Notice when you're in center and then exhaling into that flatten movement, front of the body tightening. Tailbone rolls slightly up, chin nods away from the chest here. Inhaling, coming through center and then coming into that arch. Exhaling to flatten. And take it 3 times. So just one more time if you've done 2. We don't want to overdo our somatic movement. A lot of the time, less is more with these movements. So just taking it 3 times, finishing on your flatten, and then inhaling into that belly, coming back to rest. And then if your legs were out long when you started, just slide those legs out long again. So 1 at a time, sliding the legs, seeing if you can keep the feet on the floor. And then just take a few resting breaths here and notice if anything's changed and how the body is resting down on the mat. Notice if there's any kind of places that are resting down more now, maybe resting down less. Notice each side of the body. Oh, and then 1 at a time, sliding those legs back up if you had them out long. And coming back into that constructive rest shape. So bringing the feet to the knees together, that little step out of the toes, little step of the heels, coming back into constructive rest. Having a little bit of space between the feet and the buttocks as well. Of course, we're going to bring our arms and our shoulders into this arch and flatten movement now. So sliding the arms, and I'll just move slightly here, sliding the arms up along the floor, up to about shoulder height, so you're coming into that kind of T shape. But just notice, we don't want to have too much kind of tension or activation in the shoulders here, so don't bring them up too high. You'll notice kind of when the top of the shoulders start engaging or activating, and then just come a little bit lower than that. And then bending at the elbows, bringing the hands up towards the sky. So the lower arms on the floor, upper arms are up towards the sky, hands up towards the sky, and then facing the palms down towards the heels, almost like you're doing that stop sign, down towards the heels. Cool, and then here as well, so with this movement, just have a look at where your hands are. We want them around that chest area. So we don't want them kind of up here towards the head or further down, just towards the chest area. And also we want to keep the hands kind of stacked on top of the wrists. So we're not kind of flopping the hands forward or backwards to meet the floor when we start to move. Let's see if you could keep those hands in line. And so the movement here, we'll just have a think first. And if you want to have a look, if you're a bit confused, you can have a look at me, because I'll just demonstrate first. We take the movement. So we're going to come through the arch shape. And as we arch up, the hands are going to come back towards the head. So the kind of back of the hands are coming towards the mat. And they don't have to meet the floor, just coming back to that place that's just comfortable. And then as we come through the flatten, the hands are going to come through center and then come opposite way and come beside the body, so the palms of the hands facing towards the earth. And they might touch the floor, they might not, just letting it be as comfortable for you as possible. So we're not trying to strain to get anywhere. Remembering here, it's not about getting into a shape, it's about the feeling. Cool, so let's take that movement now. So inhaling on your next inhale, coming into that arch, and allowing the hands to come away behind towards the kind of head, back of the hands coming towards the mat. And then as you exhale, coming through center, flattening down, and then the hands come towards the floor beside you. Inhaling, coming through that center place, coming into that arch, hands coming towards the head behind you. And then exhaling, hands coming towards the side, flattening down. Seeing if you can keep with that arch and flatten shape. So arching up, back muscles tightening, chin nods to chest, tailbone rolls down, hands are towards the head, and then exhaling, coming through that flatten, chin nods away from the chest, tailbone rolls up, tighten that belly. And let's just take that maybe one more time. If you've done 4 or 5, you might want to release now. Just one more inhale wherever you are, and then one more exhale, flattening the body down. Hands are coming towards the earth. And then coming back to rest here. And let the hands come down towards the side again. Coming into that constructive rest shape. And again, you can bring one leg out long, bring the other leg out long if your legs are out long to start. And just notice how the body feels, any changes in the back of the body. Taking a couple of resting breaths here. Cool, so we're going to roll over onto our bellies now. So just taking your time to get there. And as you roll over onto your belly, if it's comfortable for you to do so, we'll set up to have the hands kind of stacked one on top of the other. So the fingertips out in front, the elbows out to the side. And so we'll start with the right fingertips on top of the left, and then the forehead can kind of rest down on those fingertips. So just having a look at me if you're a bit confused about that setup. And so if lying like this isn't comfortable for you, there is an option to bring the left arm down to start, and the right hand can be down, and then you can kind of bring the side of the head down. So you're looking towards that right elbow, and the fingertips are kind of resting on the side of the forehead there. So taking that option if that's more comfortable for you than being down on your forehead. And then as you arrive down in this lying shape on the belly, take some inhales and exhales. And as you inhale, Notice the belly kind of swelling towards the mat. And then on the exhale, notice the softening away from the mat there. Inhaling, belly pushes into the floor. And noticing what's going on in the back here. Maybe those back muscles are engaging very slightly as you inhale. And then as you exhale, letting that release. Also moving again with our breath here. So as you inhale, this time we're going to lift that right palm and the head and the elbow away from the mat, just coming to a place where you can feel a little bit of engagement in the back. And then on the exhale, bringing the head, the palm, the elbow all the way back down. So that palm or the back of the fingers are kind of glued to the forehead here. So let's take that again. Inhaling, lifting the head, the fingers, the elbow coming away from the earth. Notice that little engagement in the back of the body. It doesn't have to be a big movement. And then breathing the body back down. And important with our back lifts is take one or two resting breaths between the movements. So take that one more time in your own time. But you want to let all the muscles release before you come back into that movement. So if you haven't taken that one more time, just taking it one more, inhaling, lifting the head, the chest, the arm away from the mat. The left arm stays down. That can even help you kind of push a little bit into the floor, and then exhaling, coming back down. Take a few resting breaths here. Let everything release that's been working. Oh, and then we're going to bring the leg in to this movement. So not worrying about the top body now and coming to the lower body. And we're going to bring our awareness to the opposite leg, so our left leg. So on your next inhale, lifting that left leg slightly off the floor. It doesn't have to be the whole leg, it can just be the lower leg and the foot. Just notice that little bit of engagement in the glutes, back of the leg. And then on the exhale, letting that release down. So the head and the chest is resting down for this movement. We're not including the upper body for now. And take that again. So inhaling, lifting the leg off. Notice that little bit of engagement. Doesn't have to be big. Just let the brain notice the glute muscle, back of the leg engaging, and then releasing back down towards the mat. Take a resting breath here. Let everything release. Sometimes those glute muscles take a breath or two to completely, fully relax. And then take that one more time. Inhaling, lifting the leg up off the mat, engaging those back muscles. And then as you exhale, that foot comes back down, rest down onto the mat. Cool, take a few resting breaths here, and then we're going to combine those two movements. So just let everything release. And let's take those two movements together. So on the inhale, chest, head, elbow and the hand lift, and the foot lifts, the opposite foot lifts up, noting that engagement along that diagonal back of the body. And then exhaling, coming all the way back down and releasing all those muscles that have been engaged. Take a resting breath here. And let's take that movement again. So inhaling, lifting up the upper body, the elbow, the head, and that leg comes up, the opposite leg. Notice that engagement in the back of the body, and then you're going to exhale, calming down. And we'll just take that one more time. So if you're already on your third, just letting that be your last one. Taking a few resting breaths before you start the movement again. And then take that movement one more time. So inhaling, bringing the leg up, the arm, the head. Notice that engagement in the back body here. And then exhaling, coming down, taking a rest. Let everything release here. And you can bring the arms outside if you want to kind of rest for a few breaths. You can change your shape. And we're going to take that on the other side. So switching the hands over. So the left hand now is on top of the right hand. And then resting down the forehead on that left hand, with the left fingertips. So it's just the fingertips that are over each other. So if you kind of have the hands too far over each other or the arms over each other here, then it creates a little bit too much engagement in the shoulders. Just allowing those fingertips to rest on top of each other. And again here, if it's not comfortable to have your forehead down straight, then that right arm can come down to the side of the body and the left hand can kind of be glued to the side of the forehead there, or even the side of the cheek. Cool, so let's take that movement on this side. So starting with the upper body again. On the inhale, lifting up, back of the body comes up, left palm comes up, left elbow, and then coming down on the exhale. Take a resting breath as you come down, and then take that movement again on your next inhale. Inhaling, chest and head come up, that arm comes up as well. Left fingers are glued to that forehead, and then on the exhale, coming back down, noticing that release of those back muscles as you breathe down. And then letting it all go. Take a resting breath. And take that one more time. So just 3 times this upper body movement. Bringing that upper body up. Notice the engagement in the back of the body. And then on the exhale, exhaling the body down. Taking a few resting breaths here. Breathing into the mat. Letting everything release which has been working. Oh, we're going to take that on the other side with the leg now. So just focus on the lower body, upper body stays still. And so on your next inhale, lifting that right leg up off the mat, noticing those glutes engage, back of the leg engage. And then exhaling, bringing that leg down. And as you come down, take a few resting breaths, let those glutes completely relax before taking the inhale again and then lifting that leg. Take that 3 times. Notice what you notice. Be curious about what's going on in the body. And relaxing down. One more time if you haven't taken your 3rd time yet. Breathing that leg up on the inhale. Noticing that engagement of the glute, the back of the leg, and then exhaling the leg down. Take a couple of resting breaths here. Let everything release from the back of the body. Oh, then we're going to take those 2 movements together now. So next time you inhale, lifting the upper body up, chest and head comes up with that arm, and then the right leg comes up as well, noticing that engagement in the back of the body through that diagonal, and then breathing the body back down. Take a resting breath, let everything relax. And then take that 2 more times. So on the inhale, lifting up, upper body, lower body, that diagonal, opposite leg to the opposite arm, and then breathe the body back down. Take a few resting breaths, let everything relax. And take that 1 more time. Inhaling, upper body, opposite leg. Notice those back muscles working, that tension in the back of the body. And then exhaling, release everything down. And take a couple of breaths here. Let everything release from the back body. And the next few breaths, rolling over to the back. And coming into that constructive rest shape here. So bringing the knees up to the sky. Just resting down on the back and just noticing here how you're feeling, how the back of the body feels. Notice your breathing. The rain started quite hard here, so I hope you can still hear me okay. And you can slide those legs out long as well if they were out long to start, and just notice any difference. Cool, and then set yourself back up on your back body. So maybe bringing any support underneath the head again. I'm just going to set up my headrest again here. And then if your legs are out long, sliding one leg up one at a time to rest down on the mat. Bringing those feet together to touch, knees to touch, and then taking that small step out of the toes, small step of the heels, coming to that hip width distance apart, our constructive rest. Cool, so we're going to take a steeple twist movement here. So this is great for working in those diagonals of the body and balancing out the sides of the body. So I hope everyone can hear me. It's quite loud, the rain, but a great place to be with our somatics, doing somatics in the rain. Nothing better, I think. So we're going to start by bringing our right leg over our left leg. So the back of the right thigh rests down on the front of the left thigh. And just let the legs be really relaxed here. And then take a little sway to the right side. So bringing the weight towards the right buttocks, right side of the pelvis. Doesn't have to be a big movement. And then breathing back up to that center place. Take that a couple of times. So it can be a really small movement. So maybe you're just kind of bringing the weight a couple of inches towards that right buttock. And into that little kind of small twist and then coming back to center. So we want to avoid too much kind of engagement in the glutes or any kind of niggles in that lower back. So it might be a really small couple of centimeter movement. And then coming back to center. Or once you've had a little play with that movement side to side, we'll bring the awareness to the upper body. So bringing the hands together over the chest here and placing the palms together, pointing the fingertips towards the ceiling. And let the hands kind of be over the chest. So we don't want them over the head or over the belly. Let them be over the chest. So with this movement, we want to make sure that the elbows stay straight and the palms stay together. So again, it might be quite a small movement. So we're going to bring the arms to the opposite direction this time. So when you're ready, bringing the upper body to the opposite direction towards the left, keeping those elbows straight, palms together. As soon as you have to start bending into the elbow, just stop there. And then breathe the body back to center. And take that a couple of times. And the head can kind of move with the arms and the hands as well. Maybe even looking at the hands, letting the head move side to side. And breathing back to center. Taking that a couple of times. So we're bringing the body to the left side, not doing anything with the lower legs for now. Cool, and then coming back to center. I'm just going to close a window that's above me. I'm getting a little bit wet. Cool, so now we're going to bring those two movements together now. So this is our steeple twist. So you might kind of get an idea of why it's called our steeple twist now. So when you're ready with the breath, and it could be the inhale, the exhale, kind of have a play and feels up best for you. Breathing the body to that little twist. So bringing the weight towards the right side, twisting the upper body towards the left, and then coming back to center. Taking that maybe 5-6 times, breathing the body into that little twist. And then breathing back to center. And again, it might be a really small movement. It doesn't have to be big. But as you breathe into the twist, just notice how you've created more space between that left shoulder and that right hip. And then as you come back, you're shortening that space again. So we're working with the diagonals of the body here. So we're lengthening that space between the left shoulder and the right hip. And then we're bringing it back to center. Maybe take that 1 or 2 more times. I really love this movement, so I tend to do quite a few. And then when you're ready, maybe letting that be your last one. Letting the arms come down, uncrossing those legs, and then let that right leg come long. So keeping the left leg up for now, right leg comes long. And then noticing that diagonal, so all the way from the left shoulder, you can even place your hand on the left shoulder and then kind of bring the hand all the way down that diagonal of the body towards the right hip. So you can take that a few times. So like that, kind of if you're wearing a sash, noticing that space you created on this diagonal. And then you can let the left leg come long if that's comfortable for you and join the right leg. And just notice each side of the body, if there's any differences, if it feels the same. Hopefully you can still hear me, it's getting quite loud. Awesome, I'll try and speak up, but hopefully you can hear me. So we're going to take that on the other side now. So bringing the feet up, sliding one foot up at a time if you're out long. Bringing the feet and the knees to touch, and then taking that little step again, coming to that hip width distance. We're going to take our steeple twist on the other side this time. So bringing that left leg over the right, so the back of the left thigh meets or greets the back of the front of the right thigh. And just letting the legs be really relaxed, so we're not trying to have any engagement. And then let's take the movement for the lower body the other way this time. So bringing the weight towards that left side of the pelvis, left buttock, and then breathing back to center. So again, this could be a really small movement. So I don't take this very far, because if I come too far with this movement, my glutes start engaging, and actually that can cause kind of tension in my body. So when I take this movement, I really try to just come really like a really small movement and not get too much engagement in the legs here. And you can roll onto the inside of that foot as well, just coming to that place which is comfortable. Take that a couple of times. And maybe take that one more time. And notice the belly has to be soft here to allow this twist to, something the belly be soft. Coming back to center. Cool, and then we'll bring up the arms, that shape again, over the chest into our steeple shape. And just remember keeping the arms over the chest, keeping those elbows straight, palms together. And then rotating over to the right side this time, letting the head follow. And then breathing back to center. So we're coming towards that kind of right shoulder. Taking that a few times, not worrying about the lower body for now. We're just taking this with the arms. And again, could be a really small movement. Maybe it's a bit bigger for you. Maybe it's even smaller, just a centimeter. Letting the belly be soft, and then breathing back to center, and let's meet in center. Take a couple of resting breaths here, and we're going to take that movement together now. So this time, breathing the body into that twist, coming towards the left buttocks, rotating the hands towards the right, and then breathing back to center. So this time we're creating more space as we come into that twist between the right shoulder and the left hip. So noticing as you come into that twist, that lengthening of that diagonal in the body, and then as you come back to that neutral, shortening that diagonal. Yeah, and take this maybe 5-6 times, maybe a few more. It be small movement, letting the belly be soft so you can come into that twist. Oh, and then when you're ready, maybe taking one more, maybe letting this be the last one, letting the hands come down. The left leg release, and then sliding the left leg out long and just meeting here, taking your time to get there. Again, you might want to take the left hand this time and take it to the right shoulder and feel down towards that left hip, noticing that diagonal in the body that you've created, that space. And then sliding the other leg out long to meet. If it's comfortable for you to have your legs here, and then just noticing each side of the body. And it may feel like you want to go back into the other side now, but just letting it be as it is. The body and the mind will kind of organize the body how it needs to be. So just trusting in the process, trusting how you feel. Well, I'm just going to check and see how much time we have. But we'll take one more movement here. So if your legs are out long, coming back into that constructive rest shape. So sliding the one foot up at a time, taking the feet together, knees together, little step with the heels and toes, knees come apart. And then we're going to take movement for the shoulder here. So this is called pulling rope. So bringing the hands up towards the sky, shoulder blades down on the earth. We're going to take this one at a time and then combine them together. So with this movement, we're really thinking about the shoulder blade moving away from the earth and then coming back down. And the arm and the hand are kind of just accessories to the shoulder blade. So when you're ready, starting with whatever arm you want to start with, the nervous system will sort that out for you. On the next breath, breathing one shoulder blade away from the earth and almost like you're reaching for something above you. And then like you're pulling on rope, pulling back down and allowing that shoulder blade to come back down to the earth. So we're not kind of trying to create too much strain in the body. We're just really feeling like we're kind of pulling on something here as you come up and down. So taking that again, breathing that shoulder up away from the earth, the arm and the hand follow. And then breathing back down towards the earth, letting that shoulder blade rest back down. And take that a couple more times. And as you take this movement again, notice what muscles are tightening, are moving, maybe noticing those front pec muscles are working as well. And then slow motion release back down to the earth. Take that one more time. Breathing the arm up towards the sky, having the reach up, and then almost like you're pulling something back down, slow motion release to the earth. Well, let's take that on the other side now. So when you're ready, taking a resting breath, and then breathing the other shoulder blade up, away from the earth like you're reaching for some rope, and then pulling back down. Slow motion release. Breathing that arm up. And then slow motion release down. And again, notice what muscles are working, what muscles are tightening, and then releasing as you release. Take this maybe 2 more times, breathing the arm up, reaching for something above you, and then coming back down. 1 more time. Shoulder blades coming away from the earth. Those front muscles are tightening a little bit, those pec muscles. And then breathing back down to the earth. Cool, we'll just take a little rest with the arms down to the sides. You can let the arms be soft. You might even notice a little difference already in those shoulders, how the arms are feeling or the shoulders are feeling. And then we're going to combine those movements together. So breathing the arms back up to the sky. And then this time, we're going to breathe one of the arms up, reaching upwards. And then it's the other shoulder. So think about the opposite shoulder now, breathing up to the sky, which brings that opposite shoulder down. So it's the shoulder blade that is reaching up, coming upwards from the earth, which is initiating the action of bringing the other shoulder blade down. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. So as you move here, really thinking about the shoulder blade that's resting down on the earth, breathing that shoulder blade up, and then it allows the other arms come down, the other shoulders come down. And you might notice as you take this movement that the rest of the body wants to move side to side, just letting it be, letting the head rock side to side, maybe the pelvis is moving. Breathing one shoulder up, the other comes down. And then breathing that other shoulder up again, other shoulder comes down. And this is called pulling rope. So yeah, it's like that pulling on one rope and then pulling on the other, and it allows that kind of pulley effect. And we don't want to do too much here, so this be maybe the last movement or two movements. Maybe you've already felt like you want to finish, so let that be. And then let both shoulder blades come down, both arms come down to the mat, to the sides. And just notice what you notice. Notice how those shoulder blades feel, how the shoulders feel, back of the body. And so if any of the movements we took in the class, maybe that movement even created any kind of tension or aches or discomfort, it might be that either you are over efforting, so kind of putting too much effort into the movement, not listening to your body, or just coming a bit too far at times, completely normal to happen when we first start doing somatics. But also when we first start doing these movements, they are very different for the body, and it can be a little bit confusing for the mind, sometimes quite tiring at first. So just letting it be, not overdoing it. Take less next time, go less, do less. So we're going to end with just a couple of our arch and flattens to bring us back to that kind of, to our center, to our belly. So when you're ready, staying in this constructive rest shape, take that inhale into the belly, arching up the back, tailbone rolls down, chin nods to chest. And then exhaling, come through center, flatten the body down. Tailbone comes up, chin nods away from the chest. Chest sinks towards the earth here as well. Inhaling, coming into that arch. And take this round 3 times. So 3 of the arches, 3 flattens. Flattening down as you exhale. And take that one more time if this is your third time. Inhaling, notice back muscles tightening, and then releasing as you come in that exhale. Notice those front belly muscles tightening. And then breathe in the body back to rest here. If you started with your legs out long, bringing one leg out long, bringing the other leg out long. And just notice if you want to make any like adjustments or shufflings here with the body, just see if you can let the body be as it is as you've come down. So this is how the body's organized itself. See if you can just let any wriggles you want to make or any adjustments, just let them be. If you can stay as you are and just notice. And we'll finish with that little scan again. So from the feet up the legs, noticing if anything's changed. Notice how the weight is down on the earth, which parts of the body are suspended up. Coming up to the pelvis, those buttocks, glute muscles, the lower back, mid back, and those shoulder blades. Arms, the hands, the neck, and the head. And just noticing, has anything changed? How is the body feeling now? Taking a few more moments here to really see if you can stay curious, keep noticing. It's a big part of our somatic practice, is that noticing, letting the brain notice changes and differences. And then when you're ready, rolling over to one side. Taking a few moments on your side here. And then when you're ready, the next couple of breath cycles, pushing into the earth. We're going to come up to stand, so just taking your time, coming up to a seated shape to start. Taking your time to get there and coming up to a standing shape. Not needing to move too fast here. As you come into this standing shape, have your feet around that hip distance apart if that's comfortable, and maybe slightly wider. Notice how you're standing, notice how the body feels. And have a little walk around your space. Maybe you don't have much space, just have a little walk. Feel that rotation, that movement in the shoulders and the pelvis as you walk here. Maybe you feel really different from your normal walking. Maybe you feel quite similar, just noticing that. And then take your standing shape, take a little lift up of one leg, take a little lift up of another leg, other side. Bring one arm up, notice how that feels, bring the other arm up, maybe out to the front, and then maybe bring the arm up out to the side, out to the side. And then take a little look over one shoulder, letting the pelvis move with the twist. Take another look over the other shoulder, letting the pelvis move. That maybe a few times you like. Just checking in, noticing how you feel, noticing how the body feels. Cool. So that's kind of our somatic movement practice. So it's good at the end to just come back to stand, reorganize the body, feel how you feel. And I suggest as well, just noticing how you feel throughout the rest of the day, maybe tonight when you go to sleep, you're lying down, or maybe tomorrow morning, just noticing any little changes. And if there are any little like kind of niggles, or it has kind of caused any discomfort or anything to any niggles to kind of reoccur or happen, then yeah, again, just coming back to next time you take the movement, just not kind of putting too much effort in, do less, and just be really mindful and conscious of what's going on in the body. And obviously, yeah, I'm here for any questions. You can always message me or email me if you need anything as well. Cool. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that somatic movement class. If you enjoyed that class and you're interested to know more about Hanna Somatics and the principles and learn different movements, then I'm going to be running a 4-week course starting on Wednesday, which is all online. And if you can't make the online sessions as well in person, they're 6:30 to 7:30 New Zealand time. If you can't make them in person, then I'll be recording them all and sending them out. And I'm always kind of available for questions as well if you can't make those live sessions, to ask them. Yeah, so I'll send out the flyer to everyone on the email list and just let me know if you're interested. And yeah, I'm here for the next 15 or so if anyone has questions or any comments or want to discuss anything. Yeah, thank you everyone. I'll just stop my recording.